Hello, everyone. This is The Witch's Heart by Genevieve Gornichec. This came to me via Chanel Chapters as an alternative to a book I read years ago that she herself, I guess, just recently read, The Gospel of Yoki by Joanne M. Harris. I actually enjoyed this book, but it's just a retelling. If you've already know the story. There's nothing much new here. Maybe just gathered in one place for you to get through. I like the cover to this here. This stars Angrboda. She is a wife of Loki. She is known as the mother of monsters. And here on the cover, we've got Hell. We've got it's got a million pronunciations, Fafnir and Fafnir. And here we have the snake she gives birth to. I believe it's damn it, it's Jormungand. And this reads to me like as a seeking of identity, and in stories like that, what happens is people strip away things, or they get things stripped away from them in order to seek out who they really are. She herself has the power to see the future, and Odin wants that, but she refuses to give it to him, and she is actually killed. But she has apparently been killed a few times and is resurrected once again, and she doesn't have much knowledge of her past lives. So she winds up in a cave. The forest that she lives in, as long as she lives there, it gets more beautiful and greener. She meets Loki. We'll get to his dumbass in a minute. And there they fall in love and make babies. And these babies are going to be the monsters that bring about the end of Asgard, of Ragnarok. Now, this is told from her point of view, and only her point of view. But it takes it is written in that way that sometimes a mythology is written, but this is a family drama sitting in the middle of all that, and so you don't call her babies monsters. And there's a hugely dramatic scene in here when it gets to the crux that's going to set her off on her journey of losing her children and being betrayed by her husband. And it's good. It's good stuff. And in this, so she loses her children and sets about on her journey because Ragnarok is coming, and she either wants to protect them all or see what she can do to make them fulfill their destiny. And so she loses track of time. Has it really been that long? And she does find herself and who she was, and then takes her steps to bring about, not bring about the end, but to take part in her role, mainly in defiance of the gods rather than just going along with them. She's out in the woods by herself trying to live her life, and it has an amazing parallel to the real world of someone they're born, they grow up, they start working, they make their home in the way that they can, and yet the influences of the outside world keep poking in, from politics to the elite rich, just poking into your life. And it's like, can you just leave me be so I can just live and exist? And because of her talent to see the future, they're not going to leave her alone. They're in constant search of her. So hers is more of a hideaway out in the rural area to never be found again, with a spell that protects her. But she is betrayed by loved ones. And it is wonderful drama in here. It's what you want to read about but not take part in. Loki. So everyone does their own Loki. And Loki's just, in this at least, he reminds me of every bad ex-boyfriend that every girl has ever told me about. They got one of these guys in their lives, and they're just the biggest asses in the world, and yet they stay with them, or they forgive them, or whatever. And Loki's got more than, I don't know how many wives he had in mythology. He's got 2 in this one at least. And she's kind of okay with it. She's like, I'm just whatever. She's not that not to imprison the guy over it, but you know, it gets old hearing about, well, this is just the way I am, and she loves me anyway. Ugh. But here it is in that relationship. Ultimately, there's points of forgiveness in this, in betrayal, not just with Loki, and more important things that she, you know, everything else pales in comparison to her children, the mother of monsters here. So I was actually really pleased with this. It was a good, easy reading, and I too think it's a good alternate from, you know, what you've already heard of. I had never really heard this name before, and did not. I haven't, you know, I've heard all the Norse stories that many people have, just haven't indulged any further outside of, you know, whatever comic books or any occasional book I might pick up. So I'd never heard of Angrboda before. I never knew. I knew someone was the mother of the monsters, but I didn't know who it was. And so you get a good taste of that story in here. So that's good work there from Genevieve Gornichec. So if you watched me, you know it's generally all about science fiction and fantasy, although occasional lop off into something a little bit different. But there is one I've been reading since a long time ago. I watched, and I repeat watch it sometimes. It's The Day of the Jackal, and I wanted more of that. And I kind of got it with the Gray Man novels by Mark Greaney. And so the next book I am reading, this is a new one. I think it's only been out a couple weeks, The Hard Line, starring Cortland Gentry, a well-trained sort of Jason Bourne-like, if you want to make a parallel. The Gray Man, the world's deadliest assassin and apex predator, discovers he's really the prey in the most shocking entry in this #1 New York Times best-selling series. Family means different things to different people, but in the Gray Man's world, family is defined by blood, the blood you share with some and the blood you shed with others. Court Gentry's current family operates out of an office park in Norfolk, Virginia. Ghost Town is an off-the-books direct action team run by Matt Hanley, former CIA deputy director. They take on the jobs the agency needs handled discreetly, and those jobs are rolling in. Meanwhile, at the top, the U.S. intelligence apparatus, security experts, and intelligence operations worldwide are being threatened. It starts with a blown safe house. These go smoother in my head than what comes out of my face, so please pardon me. It starts with a blown safe house in Tunis, Tunis. Then Court himself barely escapes from an ambush in the jungles of Nicaragua. Now key members of the U.S. counterintelligence community are being assassinated in their own neighborhoods. With the feds' compromise, it's up to Court and his team to stop the hit squads. But eliminating professional kill teams may be the least of the Gray Man's worries when he finds himself targeted by the legendary assassin codenamed Whetstone, a man driven out of retirement by a very personal quest to rain down hellfire on Court and everyone he's ever loved, starting with the father he hasn't seen in 20 years. So the last book didn't thrill me as much as the rest. I think they're all good books, so I imagine this sounds like it's going to deliver pretty good. So some good military thriller right there. That'll be next week. There it is. Good book. Go get it. That's and looking forward to reading this week. This was a nice break for a change because I've been reading friggin' chunkers for a little while. My time is limited, and so it's hard to. I have to force myself sometimes. But this one's a little bit long, but that's okay. I'll make it. See you next week for the Gray Man.